The Greenbrier Resort and Bunker. The Greenbrier is a luxury hotel located in West Virginia. It opened to the public in 1913. The 11,000-acre resort has golf and tennis facilities, a casino, 11 bars, 710 rooms, and 33 luxury suites. Unbeknownst to its many guests, the site was also a massive underground bunker built by the federal government in case of a nuclear disaster during the Cold War. The classified bunker was hidden in plain sight under and within the resort area. In the late 1950s, the government approached the Greenbrier owners, seeking their assistance in building a secret emergency relocation center to potentially hide members of Congress. At the time, the Cuban Revolution and the subsequent Cuban Missile Crisis worried Presidents Dwight Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy. The government began plans to continue operating in the event of a destructive nuclear attack. To avoid suspicion, the underground facility was built from 1959 to 1962 as an above-ground addition to the hotel. It even included 2 exhibit halls. Adjacent to the new structure, there were 2 small auditoriums that happened to have the exact number of seats for the 435-member House of Representatives and the 100-member Senate. The Greenbrier owners signed an agreement with the federal government stating that the entire resort would be commandeered by the government in case of an international crisis, specifically for its legislative branch. The bomb shelter had 3-foot-thick concrete walls, reinforced steel doors, and a complex air filtration system designed to eliminate radiation. It also had dormitories, a kitchen, and a medical facility. Communication was routed through the resort switchboard to make it appear like they were regular phone calls. The bunker even had a broadcast center for Congress members. It had interchangeable seasonal backdrops to make it appear as if they were broadcasting from Washington, D.C. For 3 decades, government staff kept the bunker operational and ready with food and supplies. The crew was disguised as workers from ghost company Forsyth Associates. By the 1990s, as the Cold War approached its end, the bunker had become obsolete. In 1992, Washington Post journalist Ted Gupp revealed its existence to the public in an article called The Ultimate Congressional Hideaway, in which he described, quote, "It strikes me that here, before my eyes, is the very architecture of fear. The Greenbrier's secret lesson is the same one my generation learned so well: how to compartmentalize our lives, how to contain our fear just below the surface, secure and controlled, daily denying its existence, while above ground we manicured our lawns, concentrated on recreation and consumption, and turned up the music as loud as it would go." The Greenbrier bunker was decommissioned immediately after the news broke out. In 1995, the resort began offering tours of the bunker to its guests. In 2006, the tours were open to the general public. No cameras are allowed. The Honecker Bunker. Hidden away in a forest 30 miles northwest of Berlin lies a Cold War-era bunker built to withstand atomic, chemical, and biological weapons if the conflict ever escalated. In 1978, East German leader Erich Honecker commissioned Projekt 5000, the most sophisticated and state-of-the-art underground bunker of its time. It was built to house East Berlin's top-tier government officials and military leaders. The bunker was operational by 1983. The Honecker Bunker was an astounding achievement due to its size, and secrecy was needed to ensure its purpose. Locals were kept in the dark and told that the strange, hollowed-out hillside which hid the bunker was just another missile silo. The structure was surrounded by a 13.7-foot-thick layer of concrete and steel plates to neutralize a nuclear weapon's electromagnetic pulse. It could withstand explosive forces 80 times more potent than the Hiroshima bomb. Buried 79 feet underground, the shelter was built to operate independently from the outside world. It could house 400 people for up to 2 weeks. East Berlin's top brass believed that this amount of time would be enough until danger passed. They would then move the people inside the bunker to another location in armored vehicles. The highest-ranking occupants were to stay in cubes suspended by cables and weights that would swing in a pendulum-like motion if the site sustained a direct strike. Honecker only visited the bunker once. After the Soviet Union fell, he escaped to South America. The secret site was then revealed to the world. The reunified German army, the Bundeswehr, took over the Honecker Bunker and decommissioned it in April of 1993. Since 2003, the Bunker 5001 project has been trying to raise money to buy the shelter, repair it, and open it for guided tours, but they haven't been successful. After hundreds of urban explorers tried to enter the facilities over the years, they were sealed by the government in 2008. Matsushiro Underground Imperial Headquarters. In 1944, during World War II, the Japanese government began building the Matsushiro Underground Imperial Headquarters. The massive cave complex was intended to house Japan's government and military command officers. They were specifically cautious of B-29 bombings. Japanese Ministry of War member Major Masataka Ida proposed the town of Matsushiro as the perfect place for their secret bunker. There were several advantages to building the complex in the area. It was a vast and flat terrain, suitable for deep excavation and entirely surrounded by mountains. As a bonus, the villagers living in the area were considered kind and naive, unlikely to reveal the secret. Construction on the Matsushiro complex began in November of 1944, and the Japanese used thousands of Korean slave laborers as builders. It is estimated that about 1,500 Korean slaves perished under the terrible conditions. The Matsushiro complex was a dense and large labyrinth with an underground structure built inside several mountains connected by 20 tunnels. The main cave was 14 feet wide and 10 feet tall. The facility was constructed so that the branches of the Imperial Japanese government could be transferred there in case of an emergency. In March 1945, an order was issued to build a palace inside the complex. It would have an area that only housed women. There were plans to relocate Emperor Hirohito to the bunker's palace for the remainder of the war, but he refused. Another proposal was to move the imperial regalia of Japan, a triad of sacred objects, from the imperial sanctuary in Tokyo to the Matsushiro bunker. Construction of the facility was suspended on August 15, 1945, a week after the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. The Japanese officials realized that the bunker would not have withstood an atomic-level strike. The Matsushiro underground imperial headquarters was only 75% complete when it was abandoned. Today, the bunker's first 1,500-foot area is open to the public and guided tours, but the deeper parts of the complex remain closed and hidden from view. Burlington Bunker. As the threat of war hung over the Western countries throughout the 1950s, the British Cabinet Office decided to build a bunker to prepare for the possibility of an all-out nuclear war. The idea was to transform an already existing limestone cave system underneath Corsham, Wiltshire, into a 35-acre underground facility called the Central Government War Headquarters. 100 feet below the houses, churches, and cobblestone streets of the small market town was the UK's Cold War city, commonly known as the Burlington Bunker. The structure could house up to 4,000 government members for up to a month and a half if a nuclear war ever broke out. This underground facility, never referred to as a bunker in official documents, was 100 feet deep, had reinforced concrete walls, dormitories, offices, wired telephones, a bakery, a hospital, and a man-made lake. It even had a small BBC broadcasting studio to communicate with survivors on the outside. In the event of a nuclear attack, the Prime Minister would be flown to the facilities via helicopter and locked inside the blast-proof bunker city. It is rumored that a secret rail line was built to connect the underground city and evacuate the English royalty. A particular section of the complex called Area 17 had unusually luxurious accommodations. They were thought to have been built for the Queen. The Burlington Bunker was never used. After the end of the Cold War in 1991, it was assigned to the Ministry of Defense. The bunker was then decommissioned in 2004 and became known to the public. Throughout the years, the man-made lake was drained, the extra fuel and supplies were retrieved by the government, and the complex was run only by a 4-person staff. When the underground city was put up for sale, an array of possible buyers proposed various plans for the complex. Some of the proposals included a data storage site, a wine cellar, a club for rave parties, and a 1950s theme park. The bunker was never sold. To this day, hundreds of adventurers travel to the Burlington Bunker to explore and take pictures. Underground Great Wall. In China, hidden beneath Beijing streets, is Disha-chen, an underground city known as the Underground Great Wall. This complex began construction in 1969, after a border conflict between the Chinese Republic and the Soviet Union threatened to result in nuclear war. Over 300,000 Beijing residents participated in building the underground city, which was intended to hold the city's entire 6 million population. It is estimated that the Underground Great Wall was 50 feet under street level and spanning up to 35 square miles in length. Almost 100 entrances were hidden in shops throughout the city, and it is rumored that most residences had secret trapdoors in case of evacuation. The underground city had it all, from classrooms and playgrounds to movie theaters, barbershops, restaurants, and even a roller skating rink. Other chambers in the underground city held food supplies, weapons, grain, and oil warehouses. The complex also had areas to grow sunless crops, such as mushrooms. Disha-chen had 70 potential sites where water wells could easily be dug if needed. The complex also had state-of-the-art ventilation systems, with 2,300 shafts that could be sealed off to protect the tunnel's inhabitants from all kinds of biochemical and nuclear attacks. After the Cold War began to dissipate and the threat of nuclear attacks diminished, Part of the complex was opened for tourism in 2003. Di Sha-Cheng was closed for renovations in 2008, and as of 2021, it is still shut down and unlikely to open anytime soon. No one knows for sure what is being built in its place.